And welcome everyone back to the Captain Jack Rackham Show, Sunday nights, 6 p.m. As you all know, all of the great followers and everyone who always comes on and supporting it for about the last month now. Captain Jack has been out. I've taken over. I am Raider Transplant. I'm at Reyes Boxing on Instagram. Some of you guys know me as Angelo Reyes on Facebook. So Raider Transplant, just real quick so everybody gets the story. I am 19 months liver transplant survivor, successful so far right now. Haven't had to go back to the hospital. I just did my transplant team meeting earlier this week. Won't really update you guys on the medical stuff. But if you're wondering, so for example, today I'm wearing my Transplant Strong shirt, because that is how I'm feeling. And as you guys all know, I wear the green Raider hat for everybody wondering, because green is the color for organ donation. So please consider it. It saved my life. I only had 30 days to live on when I was told the 4th of July weekend on the 2022. And here I am 19 months later. Who knew I'd be getting a chance to host the Captain Jack Show? So for all of you guys who did show up on Thursday, there was a treat. Captain Jack was with us for 90 minutes, which was so gracious, because I know so in the meantime, we got a great show for you tonight. As Captain Jack said, we have a special guest, Robert Garcia of the Wild Wild West Show. Guys, for you guys who don't know, he is the Chargers representative for that panel. And he's got a lot of great information about Charger football. But you're wondering, well, why in the world did Raider Transplant Angelo bring him in? What is that all about? This is a Raider Nation show. Why you bringing the enemy in? Well, I'll tell you why. Because as the old saying goes, you keep your friends close and you keep your enemies even closer. And I keep that Wild Wild West crew pretty close, because we want to know what's going on with the AFC West division. For example, I'm sure you guys already heard Chris Jones signed today, and that's a massive contract. We were hoping that he wouldn't stay in the division, but you know what? Now that he is, I'm going to talk about it on our segment 3. Before I get started, let me go ahead and shout out some of the very people that we always see and are always supportive of the Captain Jack Show. I got Anna Diaz. Thank you so much. Anna Diaz, you're just the best. We all love you here in Las Vegas. You're amazing for Raider Nation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Hey, okay. So Sheila, so Captain Jack, he was here on Thursday. He is for tonight. He said he might actually stop by, and because he's watching the Academy Awards without having to do for the show for the first time in like years. I'm your I'm your guest host for tonight, Raider Transplant. So hope you enjoy what we got lined up for you. But yeah, no, he might. I asked him. I said, hey man, can you Cap? Can you please like stop in? And maybe we can get, like, you can tell us who's winning, or, you know, who won Best Actor or something. So, yeah, so we might actually see him on later on today. Hey, Matt Marinovich, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you. You know what, man? You're always watching. And, you know, when I'm on Protect the Shield, I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the kind words. That's really awesome. And here we go. We were just talking about this. Mr. Denver, Richie Riche. There he is. Richie Riche, MHRT Network. That's where you guys can also catch the Wild Wild West show. And Richie Riche promised that this will get reloaded on the MHRT Network after the live episode. So thanks for coming in. Got a lot to talk about for sure. There he is. There he is, John Leone. You know what? John Leone, we're going to be talking about that part of it all probably in segment 3. So let me actually break that all down for you guys on what is happening for tonight's episode. First off, we are on segment 1. We're going to actually talk about Russell Wilson because it's the topic, man. He's doing his little Russell Wilson tour. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about, because I've seen so much in all of the Raider Nation chat platforms how everyone's kind of split, right? You got people going, oh, he's a cheap deal. Why wouldn't you do it? It's a no-brainer. And you got a lot of people going, no way, please no, let's not do it. So we're going to talk about it. And I actually want to get Robert's take on this because what I have to say about all of this. So let me see here. And then we'll on segment 2, we're actually going to talk about Josh Jacobs because I saw the Chris Jones signing. I saw Andre James signing. I was really hoping that the news about Josh Jacobs would have dropped by now. So, there's Austin Ekeler that's out there too. And I've heard about Telesco might possibly get him. I mean, I really want Josh Jacobs. So I'm going to talk to Robert about that tonight. We're going to talk about some of the free agents that are running back options and other options, actually, because as you know, I want to know from Robert himself. There's word about Telesco poaching some of the very people that he actually drafted. So I want to get his insider information on how good these people are and why the Chargers might be letting them go. And then segment 2 is going to be kind of long, guys, because we're going to have this fun part where me and Robert are going to play trade scenarios because you guys already heard Telesco's talking to certain teams. From what the news was saying, he's talking to number 5, number 6, and number 7. So that means he's talking to the Chargers about moving up, kind of like the Trey Lance deal. He's talking to the Giants about moving up. He's talking to the Titans about moving up. So I don't know. I mean, is he moving up for quarterback? Is it possible because Talisi Fuaga looks so good that he's moving up to make sure he gets Fuaga? Is it possible he doesn't want anyone else to steal Byron Murphy, right? So we'll see how that trade up, trade down scenario goes. And like I said, segment 3 will really cover about Chris Jones because, man, I'm sure on Wednesday for the Wild Wild West show, Alex is just going to be so happy about all of this and he'll feel a little smug. So anyhow, without further ado, guys, I love this kid. He's even though he's a little bit older than my son, man, does he know a lot of Chargers information, almost scholastically, in fact. So I really appreciate him, and I appreciate him joining me for 2 hours today. So here he is, the man himself for the Bolts, Big Blue now. I guess you could say go Blue because of Harbaugh. Right now, Robert, nobody's got it better than you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for that, Angelo. Yeah, man, nobody's got it better than us right now, man. We're on top of the world right now, so hopefully we can get this cap situation in order and make it even better this season.
Yeah, no, that was crazy, right? Like I don't know what you were doing, but when I saw the news, I mean, I'm on my 19th month right now in liver transplant recovery, and the doctors pretty much isolate you during this time, especially for me. I live in Las Vegas, so it's easy to get sick, right? I'm immune compromised. Right? It's like 100 million guaranteed, or I don't know. You probably know more about it than me.
I mean, we did say it right on the Wild Wild West podcast. They were gonna have to overpay for him. It was just that. It was just that simple. That was the one piece that they could not let leave the building, and they didn't. Got to give credit to the Chiefs and to the front office when you have a player of that caliber at that position. It's been such an integral, probably been the integral piece of your defense for the last 3 Super Bowl wins. You have to, you're gonna overpay, but it's almost like you're happy to overpay if you know what I mean. Like, you're going to get the production out of him. This isn't and it's his first contract, so we don't know. Like, the dude's proven himself. It's at this point you just gotta I kind of just pay him what he's owed in a weird way.
I mean, I want to bring this up. Thanks for being on the show, Desert Raider. He says Chris Jones is laughing right now. Andre James is going to get dog walk for the next 2 years. And, there was that news, right, Robert? And I'll talk about this just a little bit, and we'll cover it even more in segment 3 of today's show. But, Andre James, he's definitely not, I guess, the A-level option that we would have wanted. I do think that part of the reason why they brought Andre James in is because of Josh Jacobs, and I'm happier about that. I believe that we're getting closer and closer to signing our guy. I'm going to talk about him on segment 2, but again, I can't say enough that he's the best Filipino player in the entire NFL. I love Josh Jacobs. He is just amazing. So, the Chris Jones deal, I don't know if overpay is what I would say, because you're worth what you're worth, right? And then you have to prove it. He now has to prove that he's worth that contract, which is a perfect segue for you and I actually to talk about good old Mr. Russell Wilson, because when we're talking about overpaid and we're talking about, I mean, I feel it for Rich. I feel it for Rich. And I even said it on the Wild Wild West show. You remember, everybody's pounding on the poor guy. And, I'm trying to be nice to him because I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like, ouch. So 39 million for this year that they got to eat dead cap, and then 37 million or something like that. It's 89 million total. Yeah, it's 89. So it's a lot of money dead cap, which really cripples them, right? Which is something that you and I, for our teams, the Chargers and the Raiders, we don't want that. We got lucky with Jimmy G popping some pills, like we'll still eat like about 17.8 million once we decide what we're doing with them.
Yeah, how much did you pay his nutritionist to sabotage that contract for you guys?
Maybe. So no. Of course we never did that. That's not us. That's not us. Right. But no, tell me, with this whole Russell Wilson tour, I mean, it's kind of funny, but he's touring to shop around his skills and his talents for the contract price of 1.8 million, I believe, is the veteran minimum. So you tell me, how would you feel if Russell Wilson did go to the Raiders, and how does that affect the Chargers in both a good way or a bad way, or however you feel about it?
Well, looking at it just strictly from a Raiders perspective, it makes, I mean, signing Russell Wilson makes sense. You have a young QB in AOC who you don't feel comfortable throwing out there to start comfortably for 16, 17 games. So you sign Wilson regardless of what you think of Wilson up until this point, he's better than AOC. At this current point in their career, he's just better just because he has that experience. Regardless of how you view him as if he's a diva, or regardless of how you view Russell Wilson as a teammate, he has just that experience in the league that AOC, like, no matter what he does, you can't, nothing he does apart from play in all these games and all these years that Russell did, there's nothing that AOC can do to match up with that. So having that consistency in, it's a guy who's league battle tested. He's seen the worst. He's been to a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl. So he has, some credential with him. It's just a better feeling in the locker room too, to know you kind of have that stability. And I also think just them signing him, if you were to get a quarterback at 12, or if you were to trade up and get a quarterback earlier, I know we'll get into that a little bit later too. Just even then having Russell Wilson, as even if you just sign him for a year, to just have the quarterback sit behind if you want to go that route, and kind of learn behind Russell, kind of learn how the offense is, kind of see what Pierce wants to do with the offense, and what how this team is going to be headed in that direction. Obviously we still have some questions with Josh Jacobs and things like that, but you'd get him super cheap, which is the biggest thing right now. That's honestly why you'd want Russell. It's just because you don't got to pay him much. If he's over there demanding 20 mil a year, then it's like, hey, yeah, no,
he's not doing that anyways. He's literally for low. But I'll tell you what, I'm glad. I really love Robert, and again, this is why I try never to practice pregame with anyone because you said a lot of the key words that are actually trap words that I was waiting for you to say. Because a lot of people are literally thinking in the Raider Nation. There's a lot of, probably I'd say half the people are like, he's not that bad. In fact, one of our regulars here, Van City Raider from Vancouver, Canada. Thanks for joining us again tonight. Wilson isn't even that bad. Sean Payton's ego is glaring in the Rocky Mountains right now. Right? Okay. So I want to talk about this a little bit with you, Robert, and then I'll get your feedback on it because I want to speak to the Raider Nation about this one. Would Russell Wilson be good for us, right? And a lot of the stats that you're going to see is, well, of course, he's so amazing and he's Super Bowl champion and he's worth this. And, he threw he's threw the second highest amount of touchdowns last year in the blah. And I get it. I'm like, all right, you know what? One of the things you guys realize about me hosting any shows is I'm extremely positive and I'm never going to doo-doo on anyone's performances. But here's the thing. I kind of want to go ahead and give it all context. Okay. Want to give everyone context because I personally, who have been saying since I definitely said when we needed to take Garoppolo out and let Aiden O'Connell be our quarterback, I was one of the people going, yes, let's just start in the rest of the year. So even the Chargers, after the Chargers game, when he threw that interception, I was like, it doesn't matter. Let's just start him the rest of the year now. Let's see what happens, right? And then they did this whole weird because the coaches don't know what to do. And, then they eventually got fired. And then Bo Hardegree's the one. I mean, Bo Hardegree, come on, man. I mean, like, I don't want to ever again doo-doo on what he does, but he's a quarterback coach for a reason because he's not ready to be an offensive coordinator yet. So that's the guy that had to man that ship, right? And I, again, not fair to a rookie quarterback. So I want to give a chance for a Raider Nation to just hear me out. And I'm just going to give out facts, Robert. All I'm doing is giving out facts. You can agree with it. You cannot agree with it, Raider Nation, but I'm just going to give you facts. So here are some facts before you say that. Starter, Russell Wilson will be the better starter for the Raiders, way better than Aiden O'Connell. That's what I've been hearing. So here we go. Only fair to bring up rookie numbers. I mean, college numbers. College numbers is very important.
Why are we bringing up college numbers, man?
No. Come on. I just want to, again, just listen to the context first. I'm going to give you my soliloquy. Listen to the context, Raider Nation, and, Charger fans. Just listen to it. And then, you can agree with me, not agree with me, but at least when you talk to all your other mates, you'll have some context.
All right.
So in college, Russell Wilson, who at the time, even Mel Kiper and a lot of people are like, well, he's okay. And, a lot of people even felt like picking him at the third round was kind of high, right? Because he's too short and he's not Drew Brees and blah, 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 right?
Yep.
So I'll be fair and say, first of all, in his the year before he went to Wisconsin, it's 2010. He played in the ACC. He was with North Carolina State. His team went 9-4. And they didn't do much, right? They went to some like little minor bowl or whatever. But I'm just putting out stats. Raider Nation, do not hate me. I'm just giving you this is just a fact. This is an Angelo Raider Transplant's opinion. This is just a fact. He played 13 games for the North Carolina State. He had 308 completions at 527 attempts. So 308 out of 527, he completed 308 passes. 14 interceptions. Yikes. 3,563 yards. 28 touchdowns. Definitely did well enough that Wisconsin wanted him. Okay? Now, again, just want to give context. That's all I'm doing. Because I feel like I've had to defend Aiden O'Connell since all Aiden O'Connell did was do his very best, given the really doo-doo-y situation that he had to deal with, right? And he got thrown into the fire with no real offensive coordinator. His head coach is a defensive guy. His defensive coach couldn't even help him. Nobody could help him. So he just went out there with his Purdue qualities and his Purdue abilities to do the very best he can for what he had. So I want to be fair and also say that back on 2021, which is the year before his final year. So I'm doing year before final year for both guys. Year before final year, I just told you what Russell Wilson's was for North Carolina State. You know, Aiden O'Connell, he stick with one school because he's not really one of those type of guys. He's a very loyal. I walked onto the team. I worked hard. Wherever I go is where I go, but I'm going to play as hard as I can for that team. Very blue collar, very good young man. All right. So Aiden O'Connell in 2021, Robert and Raider Nation, played for Purdue in the Big Ten. Oh, wow. He actually made it to the Music City Bowl against Tennessee. Woo! But let's go ahead and look at the stats and compare it to Russell Wilson's North Carolina State numbers in 2010. Aiden O'Connell played 12 games, Robert. 12 games. Completed more passes than Russell Wilson. He had 315. Had less attempts than Russell Wilson. Only had 439. Woo! That quarterback rating's shooting up pretty high here on that year. He threw for more yards than Russell Wilson. $28 touchdowns. And you know what's crazy? Here's what's crazy. If Aiden O'Connell was, one of those people that just cared about the money, he could have just went to the draft right after that performance, winning the Music City Bowl against Tennessee. You guys should rewatch that, by the way. You should also watch Aiden O'Connell against Ohio State, the Ohio State University. You should also watch Aiden O'Connell when he threw for over 500 yards against the undefeated Michigan State, who was 8-0 at the time that he did it. But again, let me stop giving all the love to Aiden O'Connell, because this just isn't fair that he was so much better in college, right? That was college. What does this have to do with anything, Angelo? This is ridiculous. Well, I'm just saying, it wasn't that long ago. That was 2021. And had he gone to the draft, he would have been drafted in the first round. We would be talking about somebody, hey, man, it's not me saying it. Again, look it up. 2021, if Aiden O'Connell would have went up, you read a lot of things that say, and you can look it up right now while I'm on my soliloquy, a lot of things said he would have went in the first round after that year, especially after beating Tennessee the way he did and all the 500-yard performances. Him and Drew Brees are the two people with the most 500.
Where'd you guys draft him? Like in the third, fourth?
Oh, we only drafted him in the fourth, see?
Fourth?
He was the last pick of the fourth round. Russell Wilson was an early pick in the third round. But again, man, I digress from that for a second.
If we're going to go into all that, okay. Russell Wilson.
No. All right. No. Because I just want to give Raider Nation context. I knew this was going to be one of the longer segues, okay?
Okay.
Because again, I'm tired of people just giving opinion without facts. So all I'm going to do for today is use this show for your facts. Now let's talk about the last year where Aiden O'Connell did not so good, right? Not so good on his last year, 2022, because he's so loyal, sticks it out to Purdue so that he could become second to Drew Brees, breaking every record Purdue's ever had as a quarterback. So he's the second greatest Purdue quarterback ever, and the only person to beat him is Drew Brees. Pretty good company there. But again, let me stop giving Aiden O'Connell flowers for you guys. Let me just give you a fact, okay? Aiden O'Connell in 2022, right before we drafted him, he only went 8-6. He threw 320 completions, at 499 attempts. Completion percentage is pretty good right there, right? When we're talking about just completions of passes, 320, 499 was the attempts, 320 was the completions, pretty good. 13 interceptions, ouch. That feels like Russell Wilson at North Carolina State. Ow. He did throw for 3,490 yards, so let's just call that 3,500 yards. That's 10 yards shy, right? 3,500 yards. 22 touchdowns. Pretty good. Pretty good, but only good enough to be taken in at the end of the fourth round, although a lot of teams are trying to trade up to go get him, Robert. So now I'm going to really give a lot of flowers to the great Russell Wilson, where because he doesn't have as much loyalty as Aiden O'Connell, he decides to go to Wisconsin and test his skills in the Big Ten. Now he's in the same division. In the Big Ten, he did go to the Rose Bowl. Russell Wilson was 11-3 that year, 2011, went to the Rose Bowl, but lost. Lost to the Rose Bowl. Sorry, Rich. But maybe you're not so sorry. Completions was 225. Woo! That's 100 less completions, supposedly. Sorry, that Aiden O'Connell had. So Aiden O'Connell's bad year had 100 more completions than Russell Wilson's fantastic year. Whoa, that's crazy. But hey, man, you know what? Stats lie. So let's keep going. Russell Wilson, though, apparently during that year did have the highest completion rate in college football. He only threw 309 attempts, completed 225 yards. So that's pretty good. He probably ran a good amount. I'd have to look it up, but I think, it wasn't like in the 100 yards or anything like that, but it was all right. He only threw 4 interceptions. So, man, that accuracy was starting to show. And again, coming out of college, you're talking about how he could throw the deep ball. So that must have been nice. During 2011, Russell Wilson threw 3,175 yards. So are you actually telling me that Aiden O'Connell on his senior year threw 300 more yards? Wow, that's insane. Because I thought Aiden O'Connell sucked in 2022. Apparently, still more yards and still more completions than Russell Wilson's best year in where he got picked number 3. Russell Wilson threw for 33 touchdowns. So that's only 5 more touchdowns, 11 more touchdowns than Aiden O'Connell. And he made it to the Rose Bowl. Okay, cool. But you know what? You're right, Robert. You're right. College, screw it. Who cares? College doesn't even matter, people. Why am I talking about college? What man, Angelo, you're wasting our time. So let me not waste your time. Let's talk about the pros. It is never fair. Would you agree, Robert? It is not fair to compare the whole of Russell Wilson to the whole of Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell started 10 games. So the only fair way I could compare this is to say, well, why don't we go ahead and take a look at Russell Wilson in the first 10 games? The first 10 games he actually started versus the first 10 games that Aiden O'Connell actually started. Is that fair, Robert? Can you tell the Raider Nation that would be fair? Is that fair?
Sure. I'll let you continue on this soliloquy.
Okay,
so sure.
I mean, look, all I'm saying is Russell Wilson didn't even finish the year, right?
Uh-huh.
They tell him in the Chiefs game, hey, man, change your contract. We got to go bench you. He was like, I don't know. He played a few more games, right? So I can't even really count that later stat because it's irrelevant. So I can only count the stats that he really started, which there's 1 week where I think it's like week 9 he didn't start, then he started week 10. So I'm counting the first 10 total games that Russell Wilson started versus the entire 10 total games that Aiden O'Connell started. And this is just complete stats, Robert. And I want to get your take on this after I say this because numbers are a little shocking, Raider Nation. A little shocking. So in the 10 starts that Russell Wilson did, And this is Russ, man. Russ was supposed to cook with Sean Payton, right? We fired Nathaniel Hackett. That's the excuse. We fired Nathaniel Hackett. Wasn't your fault, Russ. Sean Payton's coming to save the day. Time to cook, Russ. Well, here was Russ cooking for the first 10 games that he started. 2,065 yards, 4 interceptions, 19 touchdowns, 205 completions for with 297 attempts. Completion percentage is pretty good. You know what's interesting about that 10 start record, Robert? He was 5 wins and 5 losses. Huh. That's interesting. It's just interesting to me because when I look at Aiden O'Connell's stats, he starts the San Diego game, or I'm sorry, the LA Chargers game. First time starting because the Raider Nation coaching staff with Josh McDaniels was so dysfunctional that they couldn't decide at all. Like, oh, wow, should we do Brian Hoyer? Should we start Aiden O'Connell? So I'm just giving you facts, right? He does what he does. Then they pull him out because it's indecisive coaching. They start Brian Hoyer like an insane group of coaches would do for the Bears game. And then they let Aiden O'Connell throw for a touchdown with Jacoby Myers later that game. And I didn't even count that stat because it's not fair. I'm only counting stats
for what he started.
He started.
Right.
So Aiden O'Connell in the 10 games that he started, he threw for more yards. Oh my goodness, what a shock. 2,143 yards is what Aiden O'Connell. So he threw more yards than Russell Wilson last year? Huh, that's interesting. Okay. He did throw for more interceptions, though. Ouch. He threw 6. So he did throw 2 more interceptions than Russell Wilson, who is a veteran, Super Bowl winner, been in the league forever. But you know what, man? You know what? We expect our rookie quarterbacks to be as good as someone who's already accomplished all of that. That's what we expect in Raider Nation. That's why we say things like, oh, Russell Wilson would be totally better than Aiden O'Connell, even though the facts clearly prove that he isn't that much better. And if anything, I've been saying Aiden O'Connell would be better. But let me continue. Maybe it's the touchdowns. Maybe like Aiden O'Connell threw single-digit touchdowns. Oh, interesting. Aiden O'Connell threw 11 touchdowns, and that's not including the touchdown he threw where he played for 5 minutes in the Bears game. Guy's so good, he could score a touchdown in 5 minutes. Like, but whatever. I'm not even going to say nothing. It's 12 touchdowns, so yes, Russ did more. 203 completions for 330 attempts. Okay, so they had the same completion. Russ had 205. Aiden O'Connell had 203. But you know what? Quarterback play in NFL, it's all about wins, baby. Because all that matters, Robert, is whether
just
you
win, baby,
or not. All right? Well, Aiden O'Connell also won 5 games and lost 5 games. So it's interesting to me how it's so easy to compare a Super Bowl champion with a, I don't know, a rookie-ish quarterback who's no good, that's kind of stiff and nothing. But I'm gonna let you go for a while because I've gotten on that soapbox. I want to hear what you have to say.
So to wrap up or to kind of answer your soliloquy, for one, I need to know what you're smoking, and I need to get me some of that because I personally do not believe that Aiden O'Connell is better than Russell Wilson through no knock on O'Connell himself, but purely just on the fact that you can't replicate what does he have, like 10 years of NFL experience Russ is at now?
That's correct.
Like 12, 13 years now, something. Like that's just you just can't, like, regardless of his age, and it goes both ways because while Russ is older, O'Connell is just so much younger, so he just doesn't have that experience yet, regardless of what the stats tell you, regardless of like what even maybe really the eye test tells you, because it's still kind of early on, Wilson is a made man in the sense that he's been to multiple Super Bowls. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been there and done that with the divisions, been there and done that with the head coaches, been there and done that with, the team. So I think Russell Wilson would be better for the Raiders, not necessarily because he would be a better quarterback than Aiden O'Connell, but I think he just provides a lot of the things that Aiden O'Connell can't provide, solely just because Aiden O'Connell doesn't have the experience yet to be able to provide them. It's no like knock on O'Connell. I think he did fine last year. I think obviously there was some times where you looked at him and you could see, yeah, this guy's a rookie. Like, I think we all knew that, and there was no issues with that. Nobody really expected anything of him going into last year. I actually, one of my lifelong friends, he's a huge Raider fan, and we talked about it too. We saw O'Connell in the preseason,
Hey,
and we're like,
shout
oh.
out to your lifelong friend. All right.
Yeah,
Whoever you are, lifelong friend, shout out to you, brother, for being a Raider Nation fan.
Shout out Noah. Yeah, my good friend Noah. Yeah, so
Noah, thank you, brother. Welcome.
We would watch him in the preseason, and we saw like, oh, this guy can, this guy could sling it a little bit. He's got a little bit of, you could see a little bit of poise to him, and so we ultimately thought he would be a better choice. When Garoppolo went down, him and I would talk, and we would said, yeah, I think O'Connell is the better choice here than Hoyer. I've always been a believer in you just start a quarterback immediately. I've never believed in the whole sitting a quarterback thing. My take on QBs is if you're good, and we'll see that pretty early on. Like we saw that with Herbert, where although he had a terrible offensive line, terrible head coach, terrible defense, he still won Rookie of the Year because he was just that good. Like, you could just see it with the eye test and with the talent. Like, yeah, this dude's going to be a good NFL, like a good to great NFL quarterback. I think, obviously Peyton Manning, I think CJ Stroud, some of these other guys, you kind of just know, right? When you have that guy at QB, and you know it when you see it. So I was all for O'Connell starting right away. I was impressed, I would like to say. I don't think, obviously, like I said, didn't expect too much of him, but with what he had, I don't think he had the greatest team, but I also think he had a lot more than, say, somebody like Bryce Young had. At least O'Connell had, the running back in Jacobs, although he didn't really have a great season. You had the number one wide receiver in Devontae Adams. You had Darren Waller, Darren Waller was gone this season. But you still had some pieces there on offense
It's okay that you don't have the Raider facts perfect because you're the Chargers guy. That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
And Josh Jacobs was hurt and also tried to hold out. But hey, no, right. You know what? We're splitting hairs, buddy. We're splitting hairs. So go ahead.
So all in all, I think O'Connell was a good QB. I don't think he's your future. Wilson isn't even your future. I think he's just your potential bridge gap to your next QB, whether you draft that in this draft or in the next draft, or if you go after. I don't know why you'd go after another free agent. I think the reason you would sign Russ is to mentor the rookie QB that you evidently.
I bet if Richie is still here right now, I bet that word mentor and Russell Wilson is just really sticking to his craw right now.
I say mentor loosely. I mean it just as in a guy that can maintain, and I put those very loosely in quotes, maintain the locker room in just the sense of just keep the ship floating. If like you say, you guys are a playoff team this year, then there should be enough talent around Russ, because I don't think Russ is a QB where at least at this point in his career now, I don't think Russ is a QB at this point where you look to him and be like, Russ, save us. You look to Russ now as in like, hey, we have everything else in the offense working, the wide receivers, the tight ends, the run game, the O-line, all that is working smoothly. So just don't crash it. Okay. Just,
Okay.
go do a cool 75 down the highway, you know, don't don't get any scratches or anything on it, and we'll be good. Let the run game, I think that's the kind of offense Russell Wilson needs, and it's also kind of a reason why I think he wouldn't be a good fit in Oakland, is because I don't think you guys have that yet. I think, and I said this, I'm pretty sure you could even vouch for me on this. I've said since the start Steelers. I said that, he should go to the Steelers. That team
Russ to
is,
the Steelers. Okay.
yeah, we said that kind of early on, or at least I said that early on. That team has pieces to win, not win right now. I'm sorry, not win. That team has pieces to compete right now. You have two solid running backs in Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. You have a O-line could be better, but it's probably better than what Denver's is going to be this season, just because they're just going to have to release everyone. You
Okay.
have a good tight end. You have a sound defense. You have a good head coach. It's a pillar franchise. I mean, Pittsburgh is one of the cornerstone franchises in the league. So I think that would be the place for him. My only thing is, and it's kind of like this with Russ just in general, he needs to have the right mentality. He cannot go to a new
And
place
I'm,
with
I'm
the same
glad you're saying I'm glad you're
Yeah.
saying that, the mentality part. So I'll let
Yes.
you wrap that up, that mentality part, because then I'm gonna do one last counter because we got to move on right to our next one. And I just
Right.
want to take the time, by the way, everyone, I apologize that everybody was saying on the chat. We got a ton of people in the chat room that I kept freezing. So it looks like we've fixed that now. Hopefully it doesn't keep happening. I see. I'm just gonna put this up real quick. So Van City Raider was saying 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, not a bad year. So I apologize about that. That was his college 2010 for Russell Wilson. That was when he played in North Carolina State. But his just again to repeat, he had 19 touchdowns in the 10 games. So I don't know if that's what you meant, but he only had 19 touchdowns in the 10 games. But anyway, go ahead, Robert. Tell me about the mentality part.
Yeah, so it's just he just needs to not have the mentality he went to Denver with. If I understand, if you go to Pittsburgh, you're most likely going to be considered the guy. I use that term very loosely. Pittsburgh really hasn't had a guy at quarterback since obviously Big Ben was there. And that seems like forever ago at this point. So I know Pittsburgh is longing for again, we were talking about that stability earlier. They've been longing for some stability at QB ever
Right,
since Big Ben
right,
left.
right. And wouldn't you agree? Because I don't want to make it all about Pittsburgh here, but because again, it's a Raider show, man. We don't care about the Steelers.
I know. Sorry.
But I hear what you're saying about the mentality. So I want to put this up. And Robert, by the way, you have people that are listening to you. And Robert Dart right here says, I agree with Robert. Russell Wilson could bring stability to a locker room in a positive way, knowing he's won a Super Bowl and also an experienced lot. So again, guys, like I'm not hating on Russell Wilson. I'm just giving you facts. I'm sure Rich right now, if he's listening to this, is saying, boy, are you guys wrong. But then I want to give you another perspective. And this is how split Raider Nation is, right? We got Van City Raider, who's super awesome being active tonight, says, I know where Angelo, I'm going with this. And I 1,000% agree with you. I don't get why Aiden O'Connell gets so much hate. I think he's a lot better than 90% of this fan base is giving him credit for, which is why, again, I apologize for the cutoff. I gave out all of his college stats, and his college stats, honestly, you could either say it was close to Russell Wilson, but a lot of them that matter when it comes to quarterback, which is completions and throwing for yards, and even with the touchdowns, they're better than Russell Wilson's. If you take the two best Russell Wilson years, North Carolina State and Wisconsin, and the two best Purdue years for Aiden O'Connell. So and again, I told Robert earlier that he could have gone first, but you know what, Robert? I'll wrap it up in a bow for us because you're talking about mentality, and Rich spent an entire soliloquy on Wednesday with us, and he probably will again for a little bit. on the Wild Wild West show, 4:30 on the Captain Jack channel, if you guys want to watch it. He spent a whole thing talking about how Russell Wilson's ego and the I Am Athlete interview and how terrible it all is. And Marshawn Lynch, our very own Raider guy, does not have a lot of nice things to say about Russell Wilson, right? So I don't know if he'd be so good for the locker within that sense. If we're going off of what's been said and the reputation, I'm not so sure. Because all I can do, Robert, is I can't get in these people's minds, man. So all I can provide you, luckily for me, is what NFL.com provides, which is stats. So I'm going to end with this because Van City Raider, and a lot of you guys know where I'm kind of going with this idea. And, Matt Marinovich, like, you're right. O'Connell may end up being better than Wilson, but the key to an NFL QB success is experience, and that is why good teams sit new quarterbacks, which I agree with you, by the way, Matt Marinovich. And when we get to talk about whether or not we should trade up for a QB, this is why I said if you give up the farm for Jaden Daniels, you're going to have to sit him for a year anyways, so it's ridiculous to give up the farm. But anyway, I'll save that for segment 2. And hopefully it's been fixed now, Van City Raider. But guys, please tell me if it's still tripping out.
I think it is still tripping out just a little bit.
A little bit? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
So,
you're good. You're good.
All right. Last thing, all right? And then I'll wrap it in a bow. I can only go by the Chiefs stats, man, because we play the Chiefs twice. You play the Chiefs twice. They're the enemy, So really between Denver, the Chargers, and the Raiders, the enemy of our enemy should be our friends, right? And here's Denver trying to give us Russell Wilson. I don't know if that's a friendly move or not. Here you and I we're talking in a friendly manner about how the Raiders and the Chargers can actually work together because we took Telesco from you guys, or you let him go to us, or however you want to look at it. So here we go. Russell Wilson against the Chiefs. He had one loss. Want to know what the stats were for the loss? It was a 19-8 final. He completed only 13 passes for 22 attempts. Only threw for 95 yards. Ouch. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Had a QB rating of 46.6. Hey, look, don't get mad at me. That was the facts. Okay. Aiden O'Connell, man, he must have really sucked when the Chiefs came to our house and beat us. When we were ahead 14-0, it was Aiden O'Connell's fault, right? I don't know if it was Aiden O'Connell's fault because stats say, we lost 31-17. I remember I hated that game. Aiden O'Connell, though, completed 23 passes for only 33 attempts. Wow, some of those had to be dropped by the receivers, but whatever. He threw for 248 yards. Man, that's a pretty good game. I would have thought that we would have won a game like that. So it certainly wasn't Aiden O'Connell's fault, right? Oh, you know what? Maybe he threw interceptions. Maybe that's it, right? Oh, he threw 0 interceptions on the game that we lost. So it's not Aiden O'Connell's fault that we lost because he threw for 1 touchdown. And his QB rating was 101.6. Wow, just interesting, right? But you know what? Let's be fair. I hate this because we talk about Russell Wilson, how he beat the Chiefs. He shouldn't have been benched. So I get it, man. So let's talk about the Chiefs win. Denver beat the Chiefs in Denver. So hometown win. 24-9. Man, Russ must have cooked on that game, bro. Must have cooked, right? Well, he completed 12 passes. So he completed 1 less pass than the game that he lost. But, hey, man, his percentage was better. He only threw for 19 passes, so pretty good. No, it had to be the yards, bro. Had to be the yards, right? Well, Russell Wilson on that win threw for 114 yards. Man, that's like a third of what Aiden O'Connell threw for when Aiden O'Connell lost to the Chiefs. Man, that's kind of crazy. But whatever, since we're just talking about quarterbacks here. He did throw for 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. So maybe that's the reason why they won. Maybe he's a really good leader. I don't know. I'm just giving you stats. So again, I got to be fair. When we, the Raider Nation, who's the last team to beat the champion Chiefs, went to Arrowhead and defeated the mighty Chiefs, and they give us credit for finally waking them up.
You're gonna be saying that until next season.
That it was because of the defense, and it wasn't because of Aiden O'Connell. Our defense balled out. So I just want to make sure that Aiden O'Connell didn't lose it for us. I just want to make sure, because that was a pretty tough game. And again, Chris Jones is the highest paid defensive tackle now for a reason. That defense for the Chiefs was amazing. So, I hope Aiden O'Connell did somewhat okay. Well, we won 20-14. Aiden O'Connell only completed 9 passes. Ouch. Yeah. That defense sure is good, though. Sure beat the 49ers, but whatever. He threw 21 attempts. So, okay, that's about comparable to Russell Wilson when he lost to the Chiefs the first time in Arrowhead, a game that we won in Arrowhead. Aiden O'Connell only threw for 62 yards. So, yeah, man, I mean, he's just not good, I guess, right? He didn't throw an interception, though. So maybe he didn't lose us the game, but maybe he didn't win us the game. And, oh, by the way, this is a rookie quarterback playing the champs in Arrowhead. But whatever, man. And it was freezing cold, too. But, hey, it was freezing cold in Denver, too. So whatever. Don't want to make any excuses. So I'll just wrap this up in a bow so that we can go ahead and talk about segment 2 and running backs and combine and whatnot. And I'll say to all the Raider Nation right now, and I hope you agree with this, Robert, a deal is only a good deal if two people or both people who are doing the deal likes it. And I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, the land of all-you-can-eat buffet. And back in the day, guys, all-you-can-eat buffet was amazing. Now, good luck trying not to get food poisoning. Because if you're ever coming to Vegas and you want to go ahead, and you want to go ahead and do some kind of an all-you-can-eat buffet, make sure you call me first. Find me at Facebook, Angelo Reyes, or on Instagram at Reyes Boxing, right? And just ask me which places to go. Because as a transplant patient, we're immune compromised. I can't get food poisoning, so I eat at home a lot and I cook my own thing. So yeah, man, they always put out this price like, hey, man, for only this much, you get all you can eat. And they're everywhere, Robert. And that's kind of like what Russell Wilson is doing to us right now. Hey, man, you can get this amazing guy who just ruined the locker room for 2 years, who asked for his own office and his own parking space and all his own coaches and all the things that Rich hates about him in Denver. But you guys can have him for a steal. You're only going to pay $1.8 million, so you could possibly get food poisoning. But you might not get food poisoning. It might be good. So maybe you'll get food poisoning, or maybe it'll be a really good meal. It's still not the best meal. It's still not the most premium meal, but it's a good deal. And I don't know if it's such a good deal if you're giving me a Mercedes-Benz from 1980, because the parts cost too much. And really, you might not even be able to find it anymore. So that'll be my ending. You could do a short, rebuttal. I don't know if it's such a good deal to get someone like Russell Wilson, because you even talked about how he should probably go to the Steelers. And again, between Marshawn Lynch and everyone else talking bad about him, it's like food poisoning at a all-you-can-eat buffet here in Las Vegas, Nevada. People, don't go for all-you-can-eat sushi unless you call me first. Go ahead, Robert. I'll let you end it.
I'll say this. Russ would be good for you guys in the essence as like any other veteran QB would be good for you guys. Because I think regardless, you guys are going to take, and we'll get into it more with this next segment, but I think you guys take a QB in the draft, and therefore you're looking for somebody to kind of just as a 1-year bridge gap, to see if you could hey, what's going on, Captain Jack? Have to salute him there. But yeah, just to see what just to see what the team is going to look like next year, because there's a lot of uncertainty for you guys going into next season. So I think having Russ there as just like, all right, we have our QB, and basically so where you don't have to question your QB situation, because regardless of how good or bad you thought Aiden O'Connell was last season, there's no doubt that you guys need improvement at the QB position,
Yeah,
regardless of
yeah.
how you feel about O'Connell.
And we could wrap it right there because you're right. We need
Yeah,
improvement, right? And the only way, and again, I'll just say one last thing because I want to acknowledge Captain Jack. The only way for us to find out about improvement is let's see if Aiden O'Connell improves because he did improve going on to the. So if improvement is the rebuttal, then I saw Aiden O'Connell improve as we went on to the year, and we might have even stolen a playoff game with Aiden O'Connell. But who knows? Just giving you guys facts. Going to move on to segment 2, but before we do that, let me check some of these chats. Want to say ahoy, Captain. Manning the ship for tonight. Yes, sir. I hope that you're having a good time watching the Oscars. What you missed earlier is there were some Wi-Fi difficulties, so I apologize to all the viewers. We got that resolved now, hopefully. And let's see. Captain Jack says the Garglers. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And then let's see. I want to shout out Tails by the Diesel. Thanks for listening. You're going to like segment 2. All right. I promise. And then let's see. Van Cedar Raider, a Super Bowl winning QB for $1.2 million, a security blanket. I'm not against it. And you know what, Van City Raider, you're absolutely right. I don't think there's a lot of people against it. I just think, when you walk into that all-you-can-eat buffet that looks so spectacular, proceed with caution because there's a lot of food poisoning going on here in Las Vegas. So moving on to segment 2, Robert, running backs, which is something that could be uncertain, but I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good. Maybe by the time we finish our talk tonight, Josh Jacobs would have signed what I would give him. I mean, I wanted to franchise tag him. I told Protect the Shield podcast who joined me last Sunday, Chris Kimber, thank you so much for being such a great friend of the show, of the Captain Jack Rackham channel and network. And I said, he was even shocked because I said, man, I want to tag him. Let's just tag him so no one else talks to this guy. I want to give him the $14 million and then we'll rework that deal in July, right? Kind of like what happened with you got with the Charger, the Chiefs and Snead, right? Like, I just want to tag him, okay? Because I know most people would go, well, he's not worth $14 million. Well, I don't know. In the Filipino community, this is the biggest, he's the greatest Filipino player in the NFL. So if you're just selling it to the Filipino market, he might be worth the $14 million because a lot of people really love him. I mean, he's kind of like the Manny Pacquiao of the NFL for us right now, So, so I don't know, but I love Josh Jacobs. So, it's not good for me to really, talk about it too much. I wanted Robert to give him $35 million with 25 guaranteed and just sign him for 3 years and just call it a day. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Let's just put this on a bow. I've heard 2 years, 20 million and whatever. So I really hope that he doesn't end up going away to someone like the Cowboys who's more than willing to offer him that money, the Texans who totally need him and more of that money. So let me just say goodbye to Captain Jack here. Thank you, sir, for checking in on us. Yes, sir. I'll make sure that we say hello to the Wild Wild West show next 2 Wednesdays. Okay. So guys, you just heard it from Captain Jack. I'm going to be doing the Wild Wild West show this coming Wednesday and then the following Wednesday after that. And then you'll have your captain back. So, and Captain Jack, hope you are enjoying the Oscars. Yar, sir. All right. And go ahead, Robert. Talk to me about, because you guys got the Ekeler thing, and I've heard about Telesco maybe signing Ekeler to a 2-year, $6 million each deal. So you know better than me about Ekeler and Josh Jacobs. So I don't know. You tell me about that running back. Like, what do we do here? What do we do?
So as far as running backs go, and I actually kind of put this down in my little notes too. I would not at all be shocked to see our teams sort of swap running backs here in the offseason. I know you mentioned already, obviously,
Really?
Telesco coming over from the Chargers. He loves his guys. He is loyal to the dudes he drafted. A lot of them are going to be free agents this year. Just to kind of get into that a little bit as well. Apart from Ekeler, Gilman, Aloli Gilman, is a free agent. Our cornerback Michael Davis, wide receiver Jalen Guyton, Kenneth Murray, our linebackers. So there's definitely some pieces that I could see Telesco going after this offseason. They would not be that would not be expensive at all. It's some pretty cheap options there. I think you could get. But taking it back to the running backs, yeah, I think Ekeler. Man, it's tough, man. He had such a promising like year and a half when Melvin Gordon was still the bell cow. When Melvin Gordon was still the running back one, and you kind of saw that flash from Ekeler, and you kind of made at least all the Chargers fans that I was in contact with. It kind of made you think like, well, why isn't he starting? You could just kind of see it was kind of like the Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott situation where you saw, Tony Pollard thrive in that like secondary role to Zeke. Zeke would be the pound it, first, second down, you'd pick up 3-4 yards, and then Pollard was your third down back, your elusive guy, your big chunk play getter. And that's kind of what Ekeler was for those first couple of seasons when he was here with us. And then obviously, Gordon leaves and Ekeler becomes the starting running back. And I know people look at the 40 plus touchdowns in the back-to-back seasons collectively, but it really, a lot of it was just a lot of goal line thing, a lot of goal line touches, a lot of 1 yard, shove-ins. You could see he had some big playability, but like just this last year alone, I mean, you saw him run and he just looked slow. Like he just looked older. And I think that's what people talk about when they say, the running back market is truly an odd one, because running backs come into this league in their prime. You're, as a running back, your prime starts the day you're drafted and pretty much lasts until you get maybe your first big contract. And that first big contract is basically just to pay you for what you did already. A lot of people say, well, why are they giving him, a big contract? He doesn't necessarily deserve it, or he's getting older now. And it's like, well, because, you don't really get much when you're drafted, unless you're drafted like in the top 10. So for a lot of these guys, that first payday is more than likely going to be the only one they get. So you're balling out your first 3 or 4 years, try to get that big contract, and then it's kind of just like coasting after that. And we see that with a lot of players nowadays. So I could definitely see Telesco looking hard at Ekeler. You would get him super cheap. I mean, you wouldn't have to give him really much, maybe 3 year, like you said, a 2 year, 3 mil, 5 year mil. I'm sorry, 2 year, 3 mil a year deal, 5 mil a year deal. Something small where you could just kind of use him as like because he is a good gadget guy. If you want to use him in some screenplays, he's a great catcher. I mean, he led a lot of our games and catches.
So what do you think about this comment though that Matt Marinovich said? Thanks, Matt. We re-signed Amir Abdullah. Don't know if that means we'll get Ekeler, because I guess that's kind of true, right? But I don't know. What do you think about that, Robert?
Right now, I don't know who else is on your staff, on your depth chart right now. I think.
Do you want to know what the running back depth chart is? So we have Britton Brown, who I think could still be pretty good. Just take a look at the UCLA tapes. We obviously have Zamir White, that's one of the reasons why Raider Nation was saying, hey, if we have to let Josh Jacobs go, Zamir White ran for 100 yards every game for 4 games in a row. And then we also have Sincere McCormick. He's on the reserves list still. And then we just re-signed Amir Abdullah, who does some martial arts kicks, which I really appreciate also. So yeah. So I mean, like the Ekeler thing for $6 million versus I'd rather give $35 million to Josh Jacobs. Yeah. You know what I'm saying, right?
Well, yeah. You definitely would want Jacobs over Ekeler. He's just the better player, like no doubt about that. So you would want to pay Jacobs,
more money.
What is
since we're talking about that running back, I mean, like you guys are kind of in a bad spot because you're still trying to deal with your whole cap issue. And I know, like, for you, like, I mean, again, everybody well knows that I want Josh Jacobs and I want him bad, and more for the reasons that are outside of football, being
Right.
Filipino American, growing up with his Filipina grandma, and not to mention the fact that he almost ran for 2,000 yards just 2 years ago. We just re-signed Andre James, who he likes as a center. But there were some really good-looking free draft combine running backs that I know both you and I were looking at. I know you'd like Isaac Guerrero, and I'll let you talk about that a little bit. But I'm still of the sense that I'm telling you, man, that your boy Harbaugh, your coach now, he's going to reach for Blake Corum. Blake Corum to him is the heart and soul of Michigan, the same way Josh Jacobs is the heart and soul of the Raiders to AP. And I think your guy is going to sit there and go, we'll trade. He might even trade up to late second to go get Blake Corum.
If we trade up late second to go get Blake Corum, no way. No way you take a 24-year-old running back with a second round pick. There's just no chance.
Okay. Who do you like?
Like I said, I like Isaac Guerrero. I like oh man, what's the guy from Wisconsin?
Braylon Allen.
Braylon Allen, thank you. I like Braylon Allen.
I got it right here, baby.
Yeah. So I like some of these guys in the later rounds. I like Frank Gore Jr. Despite what, if we were to take a flyer on him with our 7th round pick, maybe 6th round. I've always been a big fan of former players' kids. I think just having that kind of growing up in that football environment and kind of seeing how the locker room is at such a young age and just being developed in that environment definitely helps you a lot. I was a big fan of Asante Samuel Jr. when we drafted him. That was one of the few picks that Telesco got right, in my opinion.
Oh, come on. He got Herbert for you guys. Stop it, man. Stop.
Look, I love Herbert, okay? Don't ever try to say that I don't like Herbert. But any Chargers fan,
because Telesco got him for you too.
But I'll get to that too.
Slater, because Telesco got him for you too.
I will get to all these. Justin Herbert fell into the lap of Tom Telesco. They wanted Tua, and the Dolphins screwed up.
That's not what I've researched, buddy. I researched that he had already been looking at him 2 years prior. So,
ever. Okay, you know what? If you want to believe that, I'll let you believe that. But I watched this man be the GM of my team for the last decade, and I watched constantly as he couldn't draft depth. He couldn't draft depth to save his life.
Are you angry at his first, second, and third round picks?
I'm not angry. I'm definitely angry at his day 3 picks and a lot of his day 2 picks as well. But just for the first round, I mean, he had so many players fall into his lap. Now, I understand there's the whole thing of, you still got to pick them, and I get that. But for all the players that fell into his lap and he picked, there's about 50 others that fell into his lap and he didn't pick. Because we saw him pick over Zay Flowers to pick Quentin Johnston. Why? Couldn't tell you. I don't know what tape he saw that made him think Quentin Johnston was going to be a better pick than Zay Flowers at 21. But sure, you let that one go.
I mean, again, it's a college thing. I mean, we just had a whole thing about how did Aiden O'Connell drop? How did Russell Wilson go to, so you never know. Quentin Johnston looked pretty good in college for TCU, right?
Not better than Zay Flowers did, I'll tell you that much.
Zay Flowers looked pretty good. I saw Zay Flowers when our reserve QB, Anthony Brown Jr., was throwing them, because that's where Anthony Brown originally was before he went to the transfer border. And Zay Flowers was good then with a mobile running quarterback, and he's really good now with a
mobile running quarterback. Yeah, I think he definitely went to the right place there. But yeah, so it's just, kind of wrapping it back up with Telesco. My biggest issue with him was just he was so stuck in his ways that it's almost like we knew what he was going to draft before we would even draft, and we would just have to be, as Charger fans, slightly shocked when he made a pick that we agreed with, or that we could see making sense. Don't the fact that he is looking to trade up is actually like mind-boggling to me, because I can't recall a time apart from one time when he traded back up into the draft, and I'm talking like on day one, early enough to where it's a pretty significant draft day trade. The only thing he did was come back into the first round, traded with the Patriots to take Kenneth Murray, who
Okay. He was one of the people that I had on the list. Like,
yeah,
come to
I have
us.
him on.
Joshua Kelly might come to us.
Yeah, Josh Kelly was another one.
So, like,
yeah.
I mean, again, I have these names, like you said, Gilman. I had Everett, tight end. Gerald
Everett could, yeah,
possibly,
yeah. I even put. I know it's gonna kind of maybe shock you a little bit. I even put Mike Williams on there.
Ooh, that's shocking. That is shocking. He costs a lot.
Yeah, the reason why I put Mike Williams on there is he is a full-bred Telesco guy. He was drafted way before Staley got here, so that is a Telesco guy for sure. I could definitely see him going after, to pair him with Devontae.
Well, Keenan Allen's a Telesco guy too, and Keenan
Allen.
Yeah,
but Keenan Allen.
Telesco took him into third, I think. Like,
but Keenan's a Charger guy more than he is. He was there with Phil Riv, and he was there with he's the last San Diego Charger. So I think he. Okay. And he said multiple times too. He said he wants to retire there.
Restructured to stay. You think?
I think we're going to extend him. I think we'll extend him. Yeah, right. He's 30.
But you're 32. Saying Mike Williams might be one.
Okay. I think Mike Williams could be one. I think.
I'm glad we're talking about this now, because that's what I was saying about how we're friends. You're trying to beat the Chiefs. We're trying to beat the Chiefs, right?
Yep.
I think Chris from Protect Your Shield last Sunday said he knows Harbaugh. Like, he is a Harbaugh expert, and he believes that if Harbaugh somehow can make your team a playoff team in year one or year two, he could walk on water, because he thinks that Harbaugh is going to have a building, for the next 2 years before you guys start seeing some wins and whatnot. So I don't know. I mean, again, Justin Herbert needs to definitely be protected between now and then. If it is going to be that if that's the case. So let's say we were trading, right? So let's start with Mike Williams. You're the one that suggested it. I didn't even see it. So good for you, man. I was like, what? But okay, well, sure. We need more depth at wide receiver. All we have at this point, and I'll do a wide receiver show later, but I'll mention the ones that everybody knows, which is Trey Tucker, right? Jacoby Myers. We still have Hunter Renfrow in that contract. And then we have obviously the best Devontae Adams, best route runner for sure, but quite amazing, right? So, but okay, and he's our captain. So, what's a Mike Williams trade look like? What are you willing to accept like Hunter Renfrow from us, so that we can take that because that contract now I mean, do you have it written down what the exact figure is that we're going to take from Mike Williams? Right?
It would be let me take a look here.
Okay, so it says that you guys have to pay him $32.4 million, but if you trade him, you're going to save $20 million. You're going to save $20 million. You're going to eat a dead cap of $12.4 million.
Yep.
So the rest of that, so about $5 million will come to us. So that's equal, right? That's kind of equal, because that's what would happen to us if we. I mean, you would. We're eating a $5 million dead cap for Renfrow, but we're saving $8 million, a little over $8 million if we give them to you. So is that a straight up trade? Like, you willing to go, so that it relieves you of $20 million, Williams for Renfrow? Because I'll pull that trigger. I'll pull it.
No, we definitely wouldn't do it straight up. And the reason why we wouldn't do it straight up is because we could just flat out release Mike Will and still save that money, regardless of what we want to get for him. You're realistically not going to get much for an injury-riddled, tall, big wide receiver who can't stay on the field.
Okay.
So realistically,
what else do I have to give you? And by the way, shout out to Nightmare 916. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And my guy here says Keenan Allen is a Raider fan. So I don't know. We might have a Keenan Allen for Hunter Renfrow type trade with some picks here. I don't know.
Yeah,
go ahead.
keep
I'm not trying to upset you, Robert. So you
keep
tell
dreaming,
me what
Angelo.
a fair trade for Mike Williams. You're gonna take Hunter Renfrow from us.
Yeah, so we would take
something else. So
yeah, we would take Renfrow, and it would probably just be it's a swap of the wide receivers, and we would probably just ask for like a fourth or a fifth round pick. Like it wouldn't be anything crazy. It would be a complete like salary dump off.
That's a little harsh for us because we just saw Jerry Jeudy, who we would have given probably the fifth and sixth for. And you're asking me for more with Mike Williams? I wouldn't want that.
I said a fifth or a sixth. What do you mean?
Okay,
more?
Not both.
No. Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah. Okay. A fourth or a fifth.
Because we weren't going to give you a fourth, but we are giving you Renfrow. So
yeah, we would take a fifth.
If we give you Renfrow and a seventh, our early seventh. I mean, because otherwise you just got to cut him anyways.
I think it'd have to be a
sign
sixth.
him for the vet minimum.
I think it would have to be a sixth. Because even then, I think other teams are looking to trade
our
for
seventh
him.
pick is at 221. That's the highest one right now.
See, the other thing is I was looking at we trade Mike Will to like a team that has a ton of cap and is just like this is gonna sound weird, and you're
like the Texans or the the Washington Commanders or
I was
Patriots.
Gonna say the Panthers. I think the Panthers would be a great place for him solely because
I don't know if they'll give you the pick though because they
they probably would give us like a seventh or something. They would probably give us like something just to for the sake of saying like we're not going to let him hit the open market.
We were friends, man. Why wouldn't you just give him to us? We're giving you Renfrow and the seventh.
Because we don't want to have to potentially face him twice a year. You never want to do that. Why would we ever want to do that?
Okay. I'm glad you said that. And Broken Halo, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. And guys, please press the like buttons for Captain Jack. Again, this isn't my channel. This is Captain Jack's channel. Please subscribe if you like what you've been listening to. Please press the like buttons. We'd really appreciate that. We appreciate your support. I'm doing my best to give you the best content I can give you. And again, I'm a little bit different that I look up the facts and then I give you the facts and I present it. But Broken Halo, thanks for joining us tonight. And he says to us, Robert, honestly, I think the problem with Tom T is he was at the Chargers, but so was Big Al. Now that funk is off of him, he can look forward to greatness. So, I don't know. But I'll say this though, and thank you, Broken Halo. I'll say that why can't we be friends? And you say, well, I don't want to have to do this for you. So I'm glad you said that because I got one for you. I mean, this hit the news like right away, right? Telesco's talking to the Chargers to go up from 13 to 5. And I started thinking, well, the only way we would go up from 13 to 5 is if we're trying to get Jane Daniels. So is there actually a possibility that Jane Daniels would fall? At which point I was like, okay, well, I don't want to give Hondo Carpenter was saying, and he's on record saying it, that it would cost 3 firsts and 3 seconds to go up to go get Jane Daniels. And Robert, like you wouldn't do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous. There's no way the Raiders are going to do that. But hey, this Telesco knows your issues, knows that team. We're trying to help you out. Harbaugh wants more picks because Harbaugh is all about building the trenches. AP wants to build inside out, but AP loves Jane Daniels. It's one of the reasons why we don't really have any poker face leverage in terms of moving up because everybody's like, oh, the Raiders are moving up. They definitely are going to go get Jane Daniels.
Yeah,
it's
everybody
not
knows who you're moving up for.
Right? So let's play the scenario out. Caleb Williams gets taken 1. Maybe Washington trades out. Maybe they take Drake May 2. But whoever Washington trades out for is going to pick a quarterback. So let's just say that everybody's still saying it's Drake May. And I don't know yet. Because there's a lot of McCarthy talks right now, right?
There's a lot of people saying that McCarthy's going to the Patriots at 3, which that blows my mind. I don't know how you have him going at 3, but whatever.
Well, everybody
The
was
more
saying Will
QBs
Levis was going to go one. I'll say this. Everybody was saying Will Levis was going to go one last year, and he went in early second to the Titans. And in all honesty, he doesn't look that bad. He did pretty good, and he beat Miami. So, but anyway, right? So, yeah, so let's talk about this trade, you and me.
All right.
I'm Telesco, and you're Harbaugh, and I call you, and I go, hey, buddy, you're new to the division. I'm not so new to the division, but I am with a new team, and I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you. It's going to take us a few years here to build. So what's it going to cost? I want to move up because I just saw Jane Daniels is dropping. Arizona's not going to take him. And I want to talk to you before I talk to the Giants, because if you pass up on me because you got to get whoever you want to get, I'm talking to the Giants. And if the Giants pass up on me and Jaden Daniels is still dropping, that price just keeps getting less and less. So how about pre-draft right now? Pre-draft. What do you want? What do you want for
pre-draft?
Pre-draft. Before this bad boy even gets started and neither one of us ends up losing leverage.
I got two scenarios for you.
Okay, give it to me.
Two offers pre-draft. And the reason
two
why
offers pre-draft from the Chargers.
Yes.
Mr. Robert Garcia playing the role
of GM.
Fittingly enough on Oscar night, filling the role as Jim Harbaugh and Joe Ortiz. Angelo Reyes playing the role as Tom Telesco and AP. Go ahead, sir. What's the first offer?
First offer, we talked about this. 3 firsts, and we would straight up swap Renfro and Mack. Or, and this is gonna be you're gonna kind of look at me a little crazy here, but or we take 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a third with no players involved whatsoever. Now that second one,
go back to that. To go back to that second one. Tell me
second
again?
one. All right. So first offer was 3 firsts.
No, I got the 3 first,
yeah.
and we do the swap. What's the
swap.
second offer?
2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a third. If you want to move up from 13 to 5.
Which 2 firsts, 2 seconds.
I'll let you pick the third. I'll let you pick the third.
You'll let me pick the third. But you want the 2024 first,
but
and
I
second,
want your
and you want the 2025 first and second. But you'll let me pick the third, so I could defer the third to 2026.
Yes,
2026 third. You're willing to give me? Okay, all right. Hold on. Let me talk it over with AP here. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, by the way, thanks for being here tonight. Giants Chronicles podcast. Pretty awesome dude there, young man like yourself. He says Eric Armstead got released. Ooh, the Raiders might get him actually. So that'll be a good segment 3 one if we still have a little bit of time for that. So check this out. All right. This is pre-draft. This is the Trey Lance moving up. This is when they said that this is when the Niners wanted to go get their guy Trey Lance. They moved up, I think, from 12 to 3 or 12 to 6.
Or
10? Is it 10 to 6?
I think it was 10 to 3. I think it was a third pick.
It was a 10 to 3. Okay, all right.
Yeah, something like that. 10 or 11 to 3.
Comparable. 10 to 3 is comparable. They gave up right off the bat, man. 3 firsts, 2 and
seconds.
A third.
Or yeah.
No,
yeah,
it's just 3 firsts and a third.
Yeah.
3 firsts and a third for Trey Lance. And then, of course, we know what happened there. Although I'll say again, Trey Lance is young. This is very much the same light as Drake May. Like, how do we know how good he's going to be? Maybe he'll be good a little bit later. We've seen this a lot with people like even a Jared Goff now. Look at how great he's doing. And again, you got to let them develop, right? Like Geno Smith is a perfect example. Somebody who dropped, and then all of a sudden he gets the right offensive coordinator, and then he does really well, right?
Geno Smith, it took a while for him to.
I get it. But again, the NFL is fluid, right? But
okay. It is.
So you want us to give you 2 firsts back to back.
2 seconds.
So we're really doing a first pick swap. So I have to give you 2025's first, but the 2 back to back seconds. Yikes! Yikes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll defer the third to 2026.
You can defer the third to
Okay.
2026.
How about I give you a counter offer then? How about I give you a counter offer?
Let's hear it.
I don't want to give you my 2024 second because, you know, honestly, man, I need to pick up somebody in the second round, especially because I'm doing this swap with you to try to go get Jane Daniels. I got to help my guys out. I gotta make Max Crosby happy and probably pick up Tavondre Sweat, who's going to drop to my pick in the second, or Chris Jenkins, who's probably going to drop to my pick in the second. So no, man, I can't do him dirty like that. But I'll tell you what, pre-draft, because we don't know what's going to happen on that day, I'll give you my first this year, my first next year, my second next year. I'll give you my second in 2026 and a third. I'll give you still the 2 seconds. Now I'm going to give you 2 threes, and I'll still give you my one this year switch and my one next year.
So I'm getting no picks this year apart from our first round swap.
Right, but I'm giving you the first and second next year.
Yeah.
And in 2026, instead of just giving you straight up one first like in Trey Lance, I'm giving you a second and a third.
Yeah, but with my original deal, I get the 2 first. See, the thing is, I can't move back in this draft and not recuperate something else in this draft. The only reason I would move back in this draft is to recuperate picks for this draft, because I know I'm not going to take a certain guy in the top with my top 5 pick, and I know that I can comfortably move back, pick up more picks in this year's draft because I like my board so far, and I like who's going to fall to me at my potential picks later in the rounds. And therefore, I can actually use those picks to players that Harbaugh can use right now and make an adjustment to the team right now. 2026 does me no good because by that point, we already have, I would like to think, Harbaugh would already have his pieces in place, those franchise cornerstones that he's going to build off of. I would like to think he would have them in place. So I think this draft is actually where he's going to get those corner pieces and where it's really going to build this offense. So my rebuttal to that would be I need 2 firsts, 2 seconds. If you want your 2 seconds to be, you're moving up to 5 here. So 2 firsts. You know what? I'll give you this. 2 firsts, 1 second. The second has to be this year, though. Has to be in this year's draft. Okay? That's 3 picks
I'm
so
giving
far.
You 2 first, 1 second.
2 first, 1 second, right? So
but it has to be this year's second.
But it has to be 2024.
Okay. Right.
2024 second round pick.
Okay.
That's and 2/3 in 2026.
So I'm giving you what, like a compensatory third, a compensatory third of some sort. What, I'm giving you what, like a third and a fourth in 2026? What am I doing?
No, it would be. Let's see. We'll do this. We'll do 2025 third and a 2026 third.
Okay. All right. Well, here, let me see. Broken Halo, thanks, man, for sticking around. He says he would definitely take you on the second deal, which was the 2 first, 2 seconds, and a third for 2026. Again, I didn't like giving up the second, but hey, thank you so much. Yep. And then you and I started talking for a while, and then if this was draft night and there was like 10 minutes on the clock,
our time would have ran out.
Okay, deal's off. It's way too complicated.
I mean, the thing is, at 5, I don't want to really move. The only because now it's the draft buzz is coming. It's looking like Marvin Harrison Jr. is a legitimate option at 5 for us now. There's a lot of talk that it's going to be 4 QBs going back to back to back to back in the top 4 picks. That is the dream scenario for Chargers fans all around the world if that were to happen. If Marvin Harrison Jr. were to fall into our laps at 5, this entire draft is already labeled as a win, and you strictly go into the later rounds looking for O-line, looking for D-line, and looking for maybe a running back that you can potential have as your starter, because we see every year in the NFL that running backs come in undrafted 5th, 6th, 7th round, and they are just ballers. So I firmly believe with this front office and with Harbaugh especially him being able to get a first-hand look at some of these players. Obviously, him being in college, so just having that little extra bit of scouting and to see some of these players on game day and how they react to certain situations, I think is huge for us. So yeah, this draft can easily be made on day one if Marvin Harrison Jr. falls to us. And that's why I'm hesitant to trade before.
Okay, so you're willing to risk that though, because I'm trying to offer it to you pre-draft.
I am. I would be willing to risk it.
I'm trying to go low risk for you, low risk for me. Hey man, let's try to make it fair. And you know, you already got one of our Raider Nation people going, it's too complicated. You know, right? And then now we're going into draft night, so let's play this out. If on draft night, then we go, okay, hey man, we tried. Thanks. I'll see you on draft night. We get to draft night. Caleb Williams goes first. Drake May goes second. Oh man, Jaden Daniels still on the board. What? Third pick. The Patriots are trading? Ooh, let's see. Oh man, I wonder if Marvin Harrison is going to be around with the Cardinals. Fourth pick comes and Cardinals go because they want to partner someone with Paris Johnson. They go Joe Alt, which is extremely possible. He's the most ready-made left tackle, and Paris Johnson, I think, was originally a right tackle anyways, so he moves back to the position he wants, and now Arizona's got their bookends for Kyler Murray for the next X years and protecting that rich contract. Oh, my goodness. Marvin Harrison is available. You're totally not trading now, right?
Yeah, no, we're not. If Marvin Harrison is available, there's no point to trade. There's literally none. You have your, and I know you know it's gonna obviously to blow it out of proportion and to make it sound kind of extreme. You would have your Brady Moss, like Herbert and Marvin Harrison Jr. would be the connection for the next 10 to 15 years.
I would have used something like, you know, your Kirk Cousins. Oh, you know what? It'd be your Joe Burrow. It'd be your Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase.
Sure.
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase.
I wouldn't really say that because they played in college together, so that they have like a whole other wavelength that is just so unfair for them to go to the same team in the NFL from after what they did in college is just insane. But point is, Herbert would have his guy. Keenan Allen was Rivers's guy. It was more so Gates, but you know, in the latter half of Rivers's career, Keenan was his guy. Marvin Harrison Jr. would be Herbert's guy. We were always talking about at first it was Brock Bowers. You know, Brock Bowers would be the guy for Herbert.
Yeah, everybody's been talking about Brock Bowers going to
that
5.
That was the talk at 5. But now, and the reason why that was the talk at 5 was because it was pretty much set that Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to go at 4, that he would not be available at 5. Pretty much when I can't remember what his name is, the kicker for Arizona missed that field goal in week 18.
I'm totally forgetting it now. Okay.
That was pretty much when our Marvin Harrison Jr. dreams were crushed, because it was like, oh well, they got the 4th pick. They're not going to take a quarterback. They're probably not going to take a tackle. They're going to take Marvin Harrison. But now,
but you're saying it's alive. It's alive.
But now it's alive. The dream is alive, and you know what? Even if you have a little hope of it, you got to take it. Hold on. Guy.
All right, but you took a chance though by waiting all the way till draft day when we were trying to make a fair offer here. I wasn't trying to give you an offer that you couldn't refuse, but we were trying to be friends here. We're trying to unite, right? We're trying to defeat 2 common enemies here. And you said no, and that's okay. It's okay to say no to me, even though I used to be your GM and you fired me. It's all right. It's okay. So now we're on draft night, and Caleb Williams goes first. Drake May or whatever goes second. Marvin Harrison looks available, but we just saw Mac Jones get traded to Jacksonville. So in a surprising move, the Patriots trade their 2nd pick overall. I mean, their second round, which is still the number 3 pick in the second round.
Yep.
Yeah, they trade that to Chicago for Justin Fields. And now at number 3, Marvin Harrison. Oh no! Well, now we know the Cardinals can't get Marvin Harrison. So what do the Cardinals do? Oh, well, Cardinals already was going to pick Joe Alt no matter what. So now what do you do at number 5? Because if I call you now, that price that you offered of 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a third, oh, it just went down, baby. It went down. Now I'm looking at the more Patrick Mahomes range type move here. So that's going to be my first offer, 2 firsts and a third. But maybe you'll just take somebody in your pick, right?
Yeah, we might. Yeah.
But I don't know. What would you do at this point? No Marvin Harrison.
I think
Joe Alt's gone. Marvin Harrison's gone. Who are you taking?
At that point, you kind of play the board and see what's available. But you really are looking to move back at that point. If Marvin Harrison isn't available, I'd be okay with taking Brock Bowers at 5. It wouldn't be, my favorite move in the world. But I think also they're gonna get calls for people that want to move up. When teams draft and when teams trade up in the draft, every other team is obviously looking at it, and they're looking at it closely. They're like, okay, well,
DZ saying, there's like the Niners and the Rams here too.
Yeah, and it's funny he mentioned.
Yeah, even Broken Halo was like, well, best player available.
Yeah,
okay, all right.
Best. I mean, and that's I talked about this a little bit on the Wild Wild West show. The positions we need are plentiful in this draft: wide receiver, offensive line, quarterback. Not so much. We don't need a quarterback, but it's good for us that this is a quarterback heavy draft and we're picking in the top 5, because the hope and the expectation is we're more hopefully likely than not going to get first crack at every player that isn't a QB. Hopefully. But if Marvin Harrison is gone and we're kind of just sitting there at 5, I think we're looking at other teams that potentially want to move up to take their pick of somebody that they want. Because at 5, although you're not going to be able to pick the best available QB, you'll probably be able to pick the best offensive tackle, interior O-line, wide receiver, defensive player. So there's going to be a lot of teams that are interested in moving up because A, they know we're not taking a quarterback. So if they want to move up for a quarterback, it is completely expected, and they know that they can make a deal with us because we're not in the market of that. So they could tell us in confidence, hey, we want to move up to take this QB. And we can respond
I'll give you a final offer, so we'll have a little bit of time for our segment 3.
All right.
I hear what you're saying about a whole bunch of people want to move up, but I don't think a lot of other people that Jaden Daniels is the only reason why I, in my opinion, for the Raider Nation listeners who are listening to this, that the price kind of hikes up a little bit for us is because everybody knows we would want Jaden Daniels, because I don't think a lot of people are like, oh, I'll give you 3 firsts for Jaden Daniels. Like we played this before where who behind the Raiders really needs a quarterback so much that they're willing to give the Chargers at this point 3 firsts and a bunch of seconds and all of that. I don't see anyone really needing it that bad. I mean, like if Seattle want to go get a quarterback, they could just wait. And then they could possibly get, I don't know, JJ McCarthy. They can get Penix if they really wanted to, right? If Tampa, which no, actually Tampa's out because Tampa just signed Baker Mayfield. So they're not picking quarterback. So there's nobody after the Raiders at this point when it gets to 5 that really would give the farm now during draft day, during draft night with 10 minutes left to go. There's not a lot of people that's going to trade the farm to go up to go get Jaden Daniels. So, like I said, man, the price went way down. So I'll give you a final offer, and we can end with this and see what you say. It's draft night, man, and feel free to use the pick because I'm going to call the Giants next. AP's on the line with them, or somebody's on the line with them already. But here's my final offer to you, man, or you could use the pick and try to find someone else to trade up for another position. I'll do the first this year, so that's the swap.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you my first next year, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take away your problem with Khalil Mack because Khalil Mack is still going to cost you Let me make sure that I give you the right figure. Good old Khalil Mack right now, if you keep him on your roster, costs you $38.5 million. If you just cut him, you eat $15 million, but you save $23 million. Or you could trade him to me. And trading him to me,
the same amount.
It stays the same amount, but you're trading him to me. So, you can either give him to me or not. I'll give you Renfro, right? So it's the swap. And I'll add my second pick for next year because I can't give away any more picks this year. I need my picks. So I'll do that. But this is one of those where if you don't take this offer, I'm calling the Giants with basically a lesser offer than that. I'll probably give them 2 firsts and a third, and then if I call Tennessee and Jaden keeps dropping, it goes lower than that. So I might end up getting Jaden Daniels no matter what, man. Tennessee's not going quarterback. The Giants is the only team that might go quarterback, so I might offer them the same.
Atlanta could go quarterback.
No, but Atlanta's not going to outprice me. Atlanta's going to give up the farm when they already have a good team, when they could just basically for a rookie.
I think they would. I think they would.
It needs to be a day one starter. Does
it need to be a day one starter? What if they went out and signed Russ for a year and said,
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
So they're not going to trade 3 firsts to go get to tell you, here's Atlanta calling you to give you 3 firsts. They're not doing that.
No,
either.
They wouldn't trade us
first range. It's going to be in the 2 first range.
They wouldn't trade us 3 firsts, but it's also Atlanta. It's the team that is in the complete different conference. We never have to deal with them. We play them once every 4 years.
Okay, but now you're playing this game of I gave you a better offer. They're going to give you a lesser offer, and you'll take it.
But that is the name of the game. First of all, I don't want to give you your franchise QB. I don't want to be the reason why you guys draft your franchise QB. I'll happily be the reason why the Falcons draft their franchise QB because I don't got to deal with the Falcons. I see the Falcons once every 4 years, and judging by how the Falcons have been this season and in seasons prior, ever since 28-3, they're really down in the dumps lately. So yeah, I'd be good giving the Falcons their franchise QB. I definitely would not feel good giving my division rival, I was going to say in-state, but former in-state rival, their potential franchise QB. I don't care if I'm getting 3 first-round picks for it.
Okay, all right. So I want to bring this up because, man, the chat room's been great. Thank you guys so much. So Broken Halo said, I highly doubt that our 2 teams can do business. And like I was saying, Broken Halo, like I'm trying to. I'm trying. You'd be surprised. I'm trying to unite us here because our common enemy really is the Chiefs, which we're going to talk to next for the short time that we have on the 3rd segment with Chris Jones being signed to such a high historical contract. But Matt Marinovich said, whomever doesn't get Cousins between the Vikings and the Falcons may want to trade up for those top 3 QBs. So let's say the Falcons over offer to get Cousins. The Vikings are at 11. They're not offering you 3 first-round picks to go get Jaden Daniels. And here's the thing too, right? Here's the thing too. What if they offered you, because I get what you're saying. You're saying you want to keep them away from us because you don't want to help the Raiders beat you. Even though I told you that Jaden Daniels is going to sit behind Aiden O'Connell or whoever.
Which I don't see that happening either.
No, he's going to sit behind, man. It's going to be the Patrick Mahomes treatment. So anyways, right? So here we are. And let's say they do. Let's say the Vikings go, we're moving up. And Vikings, who I've heard the rumblings that Kevin O'Connell loves McCarthy, they end up giving you 2 firsts and that's it. And you took the lesser deal to ship Jaden Daniels off the division. So all you got out of it is 2 firsts instead of the deal the Raiders was willing to give you to the Chargers. And they take JJ McCarthy. Well, heck, man, now I'm calling the Giants for less. And I might get Jaden Daniels. But less than that.
At that point, you would, as a Chargers fan, you would just have to kind of accept that. Yeah, but you would accept that as a Chargers fan because you would, first of all, we have to wait and see, and this is why like the whole trading before draft day is like so. I feel like the Chargers just won't do it. It's because if the board falls to us, like I think it will, and hopefully it does, that pick at 5 is so much more valuable sitting at 5 than if we were to trade it. Now, if there is a QB needy team and for whatever reason it's a crazy first 4 picks and we get more tackles than we thought, then 100% somebody could come up and trade with us and take the pick off our hands. But to sit here and say, like, because in this scenario, it's almost like the Raiders are like the only choice that we have to trade with someone to trade back with. And I just don't think that's true. I feel like so many other teams are going to want to move up to 5, to take their QB or to take just their guy. If, like I said before, a lot of these teams have, their board, and if these guys fall to a certain area in the draft and to where the team is like, all right, we're pulling the trigger, let's go ahead and give this team a call and let's try to move up and grab our guy, teams will do it. So I think, the other thing is obviously, the Chargers cap situation, but, after we cut or trade 4 guys and extend Keenan, we're looking good. So
okay. All right. So you're still willing to take a lesser trade?
Yes, I would take that risk.
Would want more picks. You'll take a lesser trade and take the risk that we might still end up getting Jaden Daniels anyways. And now we're doing a lesser trade because we didn't have to overpay now to go get Jaden Daniels. So it just, it's an interesting subject to talk about. And again, we got like less than 5 minutes left for segment 3 here, but it's something that I'm sure we can go over a little bit too at the Wild Wild West show.
Yeah, 4:30
on Wednesday on the Captain Jack Rackham channel. For you guys who are Denver fans, are probably watching it on the MHRT network. Salute to you, Rafa, and guys. Thank you. The chat's been great. Your input's been amazing. Thank you so much to everybody who's joining the show and listening. And for all of you guys who are going to be listening to this on replay, I got Robert Garcia, who is the co-host of the Wild Wild West show on Wednesdays at 4:30 Pacific at the Captain Jack channel, and he's the Chargers representative. So we've been playing this whole trade game, trying to be friends with each other, right? And it's hard to come with an agreement because I guess he just doesn't want to really help us. More so than he wants to make sure that we're not good enough to beat him. So I'll wrap this up so that we have like at least 5 minutes to talk about the Chris Jones thing. No matter what, man, I still believe next year, no matter what happens, whether we trade or not, and you have to believe this in your heart of hearts, in all honesty, because you have so many moves you got to make. We're going to beat you 2-0 anyways.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll see.
We can say, hey, we can see about that. Look, I got to say hi to my guy and my co-host sometimes right here, and he hosts his own too. Bishop, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We only got like 5 minutes left to talk about Chris Jones now, but I just told him that no matter what happens, whether we trade tonight or not, Bishop, I just told Robert that we're going to beat the Chargers anyways 2-0. I can't see the Chargers beating us next year because they have to trade away Bosa probably. They have to cut Khalil Mack. They got to get rid of Mike Williams. There's so many moves they have to do that a bunch of rookie players, even the Detroit Lions, it took 3 years of them picking picks in order to finally get to the dance. You're not beating us next year. We're ready to go. So
we beat you once.
I'll let you do like a quick 60 seconds, but then we'll defer to the Wild Wild West to discuss this.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on, Bishop. But go ahead.
You guys are not beating us twice next year. You'll probably get us once. We always have that split in our division, but it's just not happening. You don't have the quarterback to do it. Herbert is eons ahead.
Nice little tennis comeback at me.
Yeah.
We don't have the quarterback to do it. Even though our quarterback, scored 63 on your team, I believe.
With the help of a backup.
All I can do is bring out facts.
I can bring out facts too. The facts that
touchdowns against you.
Easton threw more touchdowns to you guys than he did to us, but sure. When Herbert wasn't even playing in that game, you guys can put up 63 points. What happened when Herbert was playing?
But true. But on the first game, which was his rookie game, we were one stupid play call from Josh McDaniels away. That wouldn't have been an interception. The run, we even said this on the Wild Wild West show. Hand the ball to Josh Jacobs. let's see what happens. So, but anyways,
I can say the same
I'm
thing
gonna
about
get down
us
with
in
this 'cause
2018.
we got like 4 minutes right now to talk about the Chris Jones thing, and I gotta address it. So, thank you, Bishop. Thank you so much. I'm gonna leave that on just so that to just let Robert feel it a little bit because I've been too nice to him this entire show. So I'm gonna stick that in there. Thank you, Bishop. Thank you. Raider Nation, Bishop's basically sticking it to Robert right now, right? So I'm gonna leave it on. So Chris
Incredibly
Jones
grateful.
gets signed. Chris Jones gets signed to a historical defensive tackle deal. He's now with the Chiefs. The original 3 that was drafted, Kelsey, Mahomes, Chris Jones, all stay. They're going for the 3-peat, which there's a reason why the 49ers couldn't do it. There's a reason why the Dallas Cowboys couldn't do it. There's a reason why a lot of teams that go back to back, or the ones that have gone back to back, has not been able to do it. And now Mahomes and everybody's trying to. So here we go, man. Chris Jones. It's a problem for us. It's a problem for you. It's a problem for us because, we signed Andre James, but Andre James was honestly manhandled by Chris Jones last year. So we're going to need to pick like a right guard and a right tackle, which is why I think that's who we would get at number 13 anyways. We need to beef up, or hopefully we could sign someone like Michael Onwenu. And like since we weren't able to get Chris Jones, I want to go all in and pay $20 million or whatever to Michael Onwenu so that we can have a right tackle that can play all 4 positions other than center. And then we re-sign Illuminor, put him at right guard, or let's go ahead and draft a right guard. Let's go ahead and draft our guy, Fuaga, or at least that's my guy, Fuaga, right? So there's a lot of directions we can go, but our problem to address Chris Jones is going to have to be, we need to protect the line. Doesn't even matter who our quarterback is. We need to make sure Chris Jones could be handled. Double team, man on man, something. What's going to happen to you guys with Chris Jones being signed now to the AFC West again?
Well, we definitely need to address the interior O-line. Obviously, we're going to lose Corey Linsley this season. Wish him the best with his heart condition. So, that's going to be tough to to find that replacement. But there are definitely some options in the in the later rounds. We talked a little bit about JBJ, Zach Frazier. So there's definitely some pieces we can draft to help combat that. But in kind of like a weird way to kind of look at it, we've had to deal with Chris Jones in the division for how long now? So as dominant as he is, as amazing as he is, it's almost kind of just like it's like another Sunday for us. We've had to deal with it for years now. This is nothing new. So at this point, it's just it's just trying to do what we can and protect our quarterbacks, man, because this dude is, he's just a game destroyer. He's a freak of nature.
Hey, shout out to Raider Nation, by the way, while Robert is giving that soliloquy. Man, you guys are
getting my warm welcome.
We're sending you off, dude, the Raider way. We're just pounding on you right now. First off, again, I apologize for the Wi-Fi issues earlier. Hopefully you guys got some of the audio. Robert's been a great guest for the last 2 hours, and thanks for his time. We've covered the Russ Wilson topic. We've covered Josh Jacobs, Ekeler. We even tried to play together, helping each other out with a trade, couldn't work something out together. So sorry, Raider Nation. The lights were going dim with Robert, like it is right now. And then we just went ahead and we had to address the Chris Jones, which on Wednesday at 4:30 on the Wild Wild West show, we're going to talk about the interior defensive lineman anyways. And we're going to be talking about Chris Jones a lot. So that'll give us more. So please tune into that. Please hit those like buttons. Please subscribe to Captain Jack's channel. Again, I'm just trying to do my best to help Captain Jack out. He will be back here real soon. I'm going to be with the Wild Wild West for 2 more consecutive Wednesdays. And then Captain Jack will be back on Wednesdays. Captain Jack told me that he will be back with me next week, Thursday. So that'll help. And then, or this coming week's Thursday. And then I'll be back for you guys on Sunday. I'm going to give you more factual content. Again, hopefully you got all the stats because that's all I could really offer you. You know, you guys might not like my takes on these things, or you might think that I'm just being too emotional, but all I can really do is give you facts. So I want to thank all of you guys who've joined us. I want to thank all of you guys who are considering organ donation. I just want to say to everyone that, I mean, again, keep in mind that life is precious, right? And it's a gift to all of us. So let's not try to take everything too seriously, because you got a guy right here who was told I only had less than 30 days. And here I am now getting a chance to talk to Robert about NFL, for crying out loud, on the Captain Jack show, you know? So no, everything's great. Robert, can you tell us again, you know, anything that you want to shout out, how people can follow you? I don't know if you're writing articles yet, but I know you got all this Charger information. So go ahead and give a shout out to everyone.
Yeah, just want to give everyone a shout out. You know, follow my Twitter. My handle is down below. Robert J2324. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to start putting out some of my own content soon. Maybe start getting a little podcast going, talking about Chargers and, you know, all things Charger. But yeah, just, you know, and just trying to get, you know, my name out there, and yeah, I'm enjoying doing these with you guys. It's a ton of fun to talk sports.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you for everybody. Thank you, Robert. Thank you most of all, Captain Jack, for giving us this platform. We're going to see you again on Wednesday at 4:30 on the Captain Jack channel. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, Robert.